I never imagined I'd be the kind of man who would install hidden cameras inside his own house. But doubt doesn't arrive all at once. It creeps in, slowly at first, until it becomes impossible to ignore. There wasn't a single event that pushed me over the edge. Just small, accumulating signs. The way she grinned at her phone when she thought I wasn't watching. How every conversation in the room would abruptly halt the second I walked in. The late nights at work, that turned into a routine. I tried convincing myself it was all in my head. After nearly a decade together, 6 of those married, I should have had complete faith in her. Her name was Lily. She had been my closest confidant, my safe harbor. But one day, she started to feel like someone I couldn't quite reach, like her heart had already started drifting somewhere else. First I blamed myself. Maybe it was the pressure from work, maybe I was overthinking. Maybe I was just scared of losing something I cherished too deeply. But that uneasiness didn't go away. It sat on my chest like a weight I couldn't shake. Eventually I couldn't push it down any longer. Against everything I believed about myself, I gave in to suspicion. I bought the cameras, tiny, discreet, and completely silent, strategically placed around the house. I told myself it was just to put my mind at ease, that I'd probably feel ridiculous afterward and take them down. That was what I hoped for. For the first few days, everything seemed perfectly ordinary. Lily carried on as usual, cooking meals, messaging on her phone, sipping wine while flipping through shows on the couch. Guilt started creeping in. I felt like I had crossed an ethical line I couldn't uncross. But then came Thursday. She mentioned, cheerfully and without hesitation, that she had to stay late at the office again. Sounded normal, routine, like every other excuse. I had plans to grab drinks with a friend that evening, but something stopped me. A gut instinct. So I cancelled and stayed home to monitor the footage instead. Hours passed with nothing unusual. Then, just after 10 p.m., the front door opened. Lily walked in. She wasn't alone. A man followed behind her, tall and sure of himself, like he belonged there. She didn't act surprised or guilty. In fact, she looked content. Peace. He smiled at her. He smiled back. That same smile I used to think was mine alone. They sat together on the couch. His hand gently found her shoulder. She laughed at something he said. And then she leaned in and kissed him. I didn't move. I didn't say a word. I just watched, frozen, as the reality I thought I knew crumbled in front of me. It wasn't rage that consumed me. It was colder than that. Something deeper. A hollow numbness that wrapped itself around me. I replayed that clip over and over that night, hoping, praying for something to disprove what I saw. A misunderstanding. A different context. But there was nothing else to see. No illusions. No other version of the truth. She had betrayed me. Not in a slip of emotion, but in a moment of comfort. She looked like she belonged there, in that room, in that moment, with him. Not with me. I didn't confront her that night. I didn't explode or accuse her. I just sat quietly, breathing the same air as the woman who no longer felt like mine. She went on like everything was normal, chattering about vacations, silly shows, our future. But to me, her words were meaningless noise. I nodded where I needed to. I forced a smile where it was expected. But I was gone. I became a ghost in the place I once called home. Every night, I'd lie beside her in bed, feigning sleep, pretending not to remember. But I remembered it all. The kisses, the laughter, the way she looked at someone else with the affection she once reserved for me. And still I checked the footage again and again. Not because I was obsessed, but because I couldn't believe it. I needed to confirm that what I'd seen was real. Because accepting the truth meant acknowledging that the woman who once comforted me through storms had now become the one creating them. Then one day it all fell apart. I came home much earlier than she expected. As I stepped through the door, I heard her in the kitchen, her voice soft and playful, laughter flowing freely through her phone. But it wasn't for me anymore. I didn't storm in. I simply stood there listening. And in that moment, something inside me quietly broke. Not in rage, not in sorrow, but with finality. I was done. Later that night, she hummed to herself while preparing dinner. She looked at peace, joyful even, but I couldn't pretend anymore. I walked into the kitchen with a calmness that felt foreign. She turned around, beaming, the same smile I used to chase the world for. "We need to talk," I said, my voice clear and steady. Her expression shifted. "Is something wrong?" "I know." She blinked. "Know what?" I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled out my phone, opened the video, and hit play. The screen lit up with proof. Her face turned pale as she stared at it, silent. When she finally spoke, her voice cracked. "It's not what it looks like." A bitter smile curled on my lips. "No, Lily. It's exactly what it looks like." She crumbled to the floor, crying uncontrollably, grabbing onto my leg, begging me not to walk away. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It was a mistake. Please, we can fix this. I love you." But the words meant nothing. They were just echoes bouncing off the shell of a man who no longer existed. "You're not sorry for doing it," I said as I stepped away. "You're sorry you were caught." She wept harder. Promised she'd change. Swore it would never happen again. But the man who once trusted her, loved her, believed in her, he was already gone. I looked down one final time. "Goodbye, Lily." Then I left. No yelling. No drama. Just silence. The kind that only comes after you've fought every battle inside yourself and finally laid down your armor. That night I packed a small bag. I wasn't running, I just needed space to breathe. She tried reaching out afterward. Messages, calls, long emails overflowing with memories and regret. I never responded. Not out of anger, but because there was nothing left to say. I moved into a small apartment. Started fresh. The nights were the hardest. Memories felt like shadows that stretched too long. But slowly they faded. And in their place came clarity. I forgave her, not for her but for myself. Because betrayal doesn't just end love. It shatters the part of you that once believed love was unconditional. She didn't lose me the night I saw the video. She lost me the day she chose to love someone else in secret. And I found myself the moment I realized I didn't need her to be whole. Closure didn't come from her apologies. It came when I walked away, and never turned back.